Hi, my name is Frank, and I'm the Tea Time Traveler. And today I'm going to talk about one of the places I've gone and give you a little story about that. And maybe if you want, some people wanted a tip on mechanics, I can give you a little mechanic tip here. So let's get started, and we'll see where I'm going to go or where I've been, and I'll show you on my little bowl. Here's my trusty bowl where I've traveled all over the place and all the places I've been. So let's pick a place right now, and it is Colombia. So Colombia was actually, I was there about a month. It was actually pretty nice. I had a really good time. I flew into Cartagena, and the airport, I worked it out so I'm flying during the day. I always like to fly during the day or early in the morning, so you have all day to find a place or whatever, because I had no places, and I had to arrange everything. So I flew in and found out really there's only taxis from the airport. You really don't have a bus service from the airport. So it wasn't that far. The place I was supposed to be staying, or I hadn't booked it, but I looked it up to see if I found a place. It was about 2 kilometers away, so I thought, well, I can walk 2 kilometers. So I grabbed my bag and I walked 2 kilometers there. And it wasn't in the nicest area of town, but it was good. It was nice. It was fairly lots of little shops and stores and stuff like that. And I went in there, and it was kind of like a hostel. They had other people staying. It was a big place, and it was fairly cheap. I think it worked out to about $20 or something, or maybe less, than $20. So that's okay. I don't mind that. That was a fairly good, decent price. And then I got a map and kind of figured out where I am and where I can go and all that kind of stuff. So I found out there is a bus service, but it just goes along the water. And then it goes to the town. So I ran and jumped on the bus, literally, because you can just jump on the bus. They don't even stop half the time. And it took me into town, and Cartagena is great. I mean, I had a great time there. It's a lot of tourists, so there's a lot of things set up for tourism. And the only thing I found a little bit, not hard, but basically, I thought maybe I'd go there and try and get some Spanish, and so maybe take some lessons. But actually, they were more expensive than they are at home, because the schools teach Spanish, so only the foreigners come and take Spanish lessons, so the foreigners can pay more. So basically, it was about the same as if I got Spanish at home. So I really didn't bother taking some Spanish. But I went to a restaurant, and it was a cafe where you sit outside in a little square, and it was around, I don't know, 3 o'clock-ish. So there wasn't very many people there. There were people, but there wasn't that many. And the restaurants were kind of empty, right? So I sat down in this one restaurant, and I started talking, and a young girl came out to serve me, and she spoke English, a little bit broken, but pretty good. She was not bad, actually, pretty good English. And we were talking, and I said, well, I must be the lure. And she said, what do you mean the lure? I said, well, the lure is like on a fishing, the lure on the line is to attract the fish. So if you don't, all these restaurants don't have hardly anybody in them. I'm sitting out in the front. Anybody walking by sees somebody sitting in the restaurant, it kind of lures them in. And so she went and talked to the manager, and she thought, well, we'll see if that works. I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll sit here for about a half an hour to an hour, and we'll see if we get any more customers. Anyway, so the manager come out, and he sits on the table on the other side. Well, it took about 40 minutes, 40 minutes, and another couple came and sat, another couple came and sat. So we had the manager then went back on the side. I guess he had to help run the restaurant or whatever. Anyway, so I said to the woman, the girl, I said, look, now there's a restaurant directly across from you, and they got one person. You've got 4, right? And it's always that way. You put one person there, they'll always be attracted. If there's nobody in this one, they don't go there. They always assume that it's better here because everybody's going there. So I said, look, maybe I should get some kind of free meal out of this deal because I'm bringing in your customers. I'm the lure anyway. So they had never thought of that. Right? So I thought, it was kind of good in that way, and it actually proved to be true because by the end of the night, most of the other restaurants had more people. That's true, but I think, had the most. He had like a pretty full restaurant, and I don't know if he was always full. It was like during the week, so it wasn't like on the Friday, Saturday, or Sunday or something like that. So it was not bad that way, right? So then I decided to find a place in the older part of town in there. So I went there and found a place that was actually cheaper and nicer, and they had more foreigners there, and that's where I was, like I said, I was going to try and learn Spanish, but they were telling me the cost of learning Spanish, was a lot more. and then I met some couple from Denmark, and we went to a restaurant, and we sat down, had the restaurant, and they put us out in the front, and actually it wasn't a bad meal, but you could see that they had these people that were like playing a guitar and like music and stuff, and they came and they played for us and all that. But basically, it wasn't bad. It was good, but they wanted money, so obviously they wanted a tip or whatever it was. So we understood that. That was pretty good. And then, excuse me, I got to sneeze. then I decided, well, I'm going to go to Marta. Is it Marta? Yeah, it's Marta. And you go up the coast. So I decided, well, okay, I'll take the bus up the coast from Cartagena to Marta. And it's supposed to be about 3.5 hours or something to that effect. So I went down to the bus station and jumped on the bus and went up to Marta, and it took me into the main town of it. And it was actually quite busy, quite a lot of people, and a lot of people selling things along the road. And they have the big square by the beach and all that kind of stuff, which was nice and everything like that. And I found another place to stay, which was good too. It was fairly decent price. And I was talking to somebody, and they said, well, you can go up to a coffee plantation. And so we traveled up to this coffee plantation. I met some more people. We went to the coffee plantation. It was quite nice, actually, the coffee plantation. And but I don't know, it was on the side of a mountain kind of thing, and it looked quite rudimentary in a way, like very I don't know how you make coffee normally, but it was pretty basic, right? And but I enjoyed it there. It was actually quite a nice place, and most of the people were quite friendly. And we decided to walk back down to where they had the bus, and well, we did get a fair bit of people. Then when we got closer to the city, when we were walking around, a lot of people on the street, trying to sell you something, or chocolates or something like that, and turned out to be mostly from Venezuela. And I don't know if they were from Venezuela or maybe it's the thing to do if you're on the street or something, say, well, I'm from Venezuela or something like that. I don't know if it makes people want to give them more or whatever it was, but there were a lot of younger kids and girls selling chocolate. So I bought some, but they're just cheap chocolate. But that was good. It was quite interesting. And then I went into the main town there of St. Marta, whatever it is, and they have the church and they have the square, and there was some people doing the busking and stuff like that, which was interesting, and they had shops and stuff like that. And I decided to go down by the water, and we walked along the beach, and there was a boat, and these 6 guys were there, and or at least 6, and maybe a couple of young kids. And they grabbed this shark and they dragged it off out of the water. They had it on a line. They dragged it off the water onto the shore, and they started cutting the shark. And it was a big shark, and doing it right there, right? And then when I'm sitting there talking to the guy about the fish and everything like that, and I was talking to this guy about the fish, and I said, geez, you know, you guys, you get shark all the time? He said, yeah, I get shark, you know, and they have tuna. But tuna is extremely expensive. So I says, well, okay. I mean, how many tuna? He says, oh, yeah, we get good tuna, right? I says, okay. And then I see that he showed me this truck, and it's a big truck. Well, it's about a 5-ton, and it's a flat deck, and it's got these bins in the back. And I said, look at there's a police officer looking like driving the truck, and a police officer following the truck. I said, what's that about? He says, oh, because they kind of robbed the truck because tuna's worth so much money. Anyway, so, and I did some other things too, but I had a pretty good time there. And I went to Bogota, and then I had a whole different thing happen in Bogota. I got this guy a police guy asking for my identification. He pretended to be police. I don't think he was. And but Bogota is a different story. I'll get back to that one later. And so Colombia was interesting, nice, pretty, cheapish. You know, I mean, the cost a little bit lower, and you can get some really good deals, and how to travel around and stuff like that. Anyway, so that's my Colombia story, and I'll give you another one next time, and maybe if I get Colombia again, I'll finish the story with Bogota and how Bogota was. And I'll also I'll give any tips of mechanics if you want, because I'm buying a car. You know, I usually buy a car. I was going to buy one in Colombia, but it wasn't worth it. Actually, they said that it costs you more to take the tolls with the car, especially if you're a foreigner, than taking the bus. It's like easier, cheaper, and you don't even have any hassles, right? As this one guy, he bought a car and he was driving across, and he said it cost him $60 to get from Marta to Cartagena, and it only cost me like $18 on the bus fare. So it's cheaper that way. Okay, I'll talk to you again. Bye.